Here we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Y'all know what time it is. We're going back down. Start sit week number 13 as we're getting closer to the fantasy football playoffs. Some of y'all still there. Some of y'all already been eliminated. So if that's the case, stay tuned for the off season because I'm going to have a boatload of content for y'all anyway. But for all of us still in the battle, let's continue down this path of bye week Armageddon. Baltimore Ravens, Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants. Heaping of bye week troubles. And I mean, we got to have some players to at least fill the void. And it is going to be difficult nonetheless, man, as we go through this rapid fire. Like y'all know, Arizona Cardinals taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm kind of feeling the Cardinals this week. It feels like one of these, sleeper type of games where Pittsburgh could be overlooking the Cards. And Kyler Murray's been playing pretty damn well, man. I'm giving him a low risk this week. Even though it is Steelers defense, I think there's going to be something here where the Steelers, might overlook them just a little bit as they are holding a playoff spot. Low-level risk for Kyler Murray. 3 boom games since his return. James Conner on the mid-level risk. He's been struggling to find any traction since coming back. But they got to lean upon this man to get this offense moving in the right direction. Yes, I know the Cardinals got blown out last week, but this one feels different to me. Got no rhyme or reason to it, just a gut feeling on this one. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just got a gut feeling. James Conner on the mid-level, potential TD upside here. Michael Carter continues the low upside as he gets acclimated with this offense. Can't start that this week. Hollywood Brown on the mid-level risk. They got to get him involved a little bit more. Kyler Murray's got to get him involved. Could be a decent day in showing for him, but they're going to have to get very creative in this respect. Rondale Moore on the high-level risk, boomer bust appeal. I'm not playing that this week. Where Greg Dortch, he does have that PPR upside. I don't know why everyone continues to sleep on this man in this Cardinals organization. Anytime he's on the field, he's making plays, and Trey McBride is on the injury report with a groin, but I got him on the green TD upside this week. If he does start and suit up in this contest, I think that he can find his way into that end zone and be that boom tight end we're looking for. Atlanta Falcons taking on the New York Jets. A lot of red on this one. Desmond Ridder, high-level risk. Tyler Algier, low upside, not touching that. Hodge, not touching that on the high-level risk. Kyle Pitts on the low upside in the red. I do not like any of them. What I do like is Bijan Robinson on the low-level risk. They will continue to feed where the Jets do struggle at times to stop the run, but they will likely stack the box on a Desmond Ridder, so I'm hoping for a heaping of PPR upside to continue the low-level risk for Bijan. Potential TD upside here, but it's going to be tough. This is probably the last toughest game that Bijan's gotten his remaining schedule of 5 contests. So if you can bear it out with 10 to 12 points, I think Bijan, that's a success versus the New York Jets in this contest. Drake London on the low upside. Basically, I would not play him this week. Going up against Saucer Reed is going to be a very difficult task. And Desmond Ridder, he's no Patrick Mahomes. So, it could be a very rough day where Jonnu Smith does get the mid-level risk for me because he's going to be the afterthought in coverage in this contest. So potentially could find his way into that end zone. It is a very much a high risk, high reward as well, but mid-level risk appeal does exist for him for me into this week versus the New York Jets. Carolina Panthers taking on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of red here as well. Not touching anything on the Panthers offense this week. High level for Bryce. Low upside for Miles Sanders. High risk for a Chark, Mingo, and the Sullivan, as we do got Hayden Hurst and Tommy Tremble injured, and they are likely not suiting up in this contest. Hurst is out, and Tremble is on the doubtful, so there's not a whole lot of upside in this offense. However, Chuba Hubbard has been getting a lot of volume. There is potential here as well, even though you understand, Vita Vea is a beast in that defensive front, and Tampa Bay is very good versus the run, but they could be a lot of checkdowns to a Chuba, and there's going to be potentially a lot of upside to an Adam Thielen for PPR upside because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive secondary is not great, but they will come after Bryce Young a lot, so I do foresee a lot of picks, a lot of turnovers in this contest. I would not necessarily start Adam Thielen unless you have better options, but we are in bye week hell, so you might have to play an Adam Thielen and hope for the best. 8 points might be a win this week for Adam Thielen. And if you got better running backs than Chuba Hubbard, I would definitely exercise that option. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football. Okay, they're trying, but their season's dwindling, these Cincinnati Bengals. And the Jags, they continue to win. They're 8-3, doing everything in their power to continue to be in the AFC playoffs. Jake Browning, low upside. He's not terrible, but he's going to hopefully do enough to at least move this offense for fantasy productivity. Joe Mixon, he falls down to a mid-level risk. They're stacking the box. They're daring Jake Browning to beat them with his arm, and it did not look and work well for Joe Mixon last week. Could be the same same situation here. Josh Allen on this Jaguars team is going to come with the bum rush on a Browning, and it's not going to be good. You're not playing either one of those gentlemen for me. I get it. If you got Mixon, you have bye week troubles, you got to play him this week. Temper your expectations. I do not foresee a good day for Mixon again. Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins back from his injury. Ja'Marr Chase on the mid-level risk. He's going to have to do it all like we saw last week. The one-handed catch with the mouthpiece touching the football. I mean, T. Higgins back, so maybe there's going to be some upside with, coverage going to both these gentlemen, and Browning can at least find these wide receivers, put it in the vicinity of these two, and hopefully they come down with the ball. So I'm giving a mid-level risk based on the potential upside of them at least scoring touchdowns. I'm playing Chase over Higgins this week. Absolutely. You got to play Chase at this point, but it's going to be tough sledding. Higgins coming back. It's a mid-level risk just because we don't know how he's going to be integrated back into this offense. So that is pick your poison this week. I'm hesitant, maybe flex play for a Higgins, but I'm not expecting a whole heaping. And then Tyler Boyd and Irv Smith on the high-level risk. It is not looking good in Cincinnati for Monday Night Football. Cleveland Brownies taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Rams look good last week. They are one of the healthiest teams in the NFL right now, where the Browns are not. They're starting Joe Flacco. He's back in business in the NFL, taking the reins as a starting quarterback. I mean, being signed after, 6 days he's starting for this team? It's just ugly mess. Who knows how this can go? We understand, teams that don't have necessarily enough tape for a quarterback in the system, it usually goes well the first game, and then the second game, it definitely tapers off. So there is mid-level risk for me this week for a Joe Flacco, where he could at least support this offense versus the Rams defense. There is potential here. He's going to at least sling the ball. Joe Flacco's got nothing left to lose. So what is he going to do? He's just going to sling the damn ball, which gives a lot of upside. Mid-level risk for Jerome Ford. I think the running upside is going to be tough, but it's still going to be there, likely in the same realm of 9 to 12 points. 4-4 does exist. We're low upside for Kareem Hunt once again. You got to believe they're going to run the football a lot, but I mean, it's going to be very difficult versus Rams defense that does stifle the run quite a bit. So I'm starting Ford over Hunt, obviously, in this respect. Mid-level risk back for an Amari Cooper. We got to get something back for this man. And I think Flacco, the fact that he can sling the ball down the field, is a good upside marker for a Amari Cooper. Mid-level risk. You can play him this week. I do believe there is some good boom appeal where he could catch a long touchdown pass. If Flacco can still air it out deep 55 yards, 60 yards down the field, there is potential for Cooper to make some noise. PPR upside in the red for Elijah Moore. Not trusting it once again. You want to see more, but again, Flacco could be spreading the ball around because he's got nothing to lose. So why not just sling the ball as much as he can? Cedric Tillman on the high-level risk, and David Njoku. He would have some TD upside with the safety blanket appeal when Flacco does get stressed with some pass rush from these LA Rams. You could probably play David Njoku this week and Amari Cooper with a Jerome Ford. Everyone else I am fading, man. Denver Broncos taking on the Houston Texans. Okay, let's ride. Russell Wilson continues to move in the right direction at this point. Low-level risk for me versus these Texans, who do give up a lot of points, even though their secondary is building and they are good. I'm a huge Stingley fan, huge Petrie fan. I think they're going to be absolutely stellar in the coming years, but Russell Wilson has this offense at least moving in the right direction. They're not close to anything high-octane, but they are giving you enough points to be satisfied with. I think in this case, Russell Wilson is a low-level risk. If you're streaming quarterbacks, Russ is a good filler this week, low risk. Good upside in the mid-level for a Javonte Williams. I just want to see a little bit more. I was very close to giving the low-level risk this week because I do believe that they can at least make some holes and gash through this Houston Texans line, but it's still going to be tough sledding, and there will be some 50-50 splits with a P. Ryan, who will again have TD upside this week, where McLaughlin is kind of fading out of this backfield trio at this point. So, I mean, again, it's going to be one of those things. If you have better options, do it over Javonte. But if you don't, I mean, again, you're talking anywhere from the 6.5 to maybe 11.5 points, barring him finding his way into the end zone, which is very possible for Vontae. But P-Run seems to be the one who's, vulturing TDs at this point. It is going to be ugly in this sense. I mean, can you really trust it? You're just really at this point hoping for the best. Jerry Jeudy continues on the low upside. I have not trusted him all season long, and I will continue to not trust him as we move forward. Low-level risk for Courtland Sutton. I think that, Russ is going to be able to find him again, and there is a potential for touchdown upside again for a Courtland Sutton. 7 boom games, 122 points. He's been the most consistent, reliable receiver for Russell Wilson. Mims and Troutman, high-level risks for me. You are not touching that this week as well. Detroit Lions taking on those New Orleans Saints. Jared Goff, man, 7 boom games, mid-level risk. This is a big one. They need this contest to continue to at least push for the top seed in the NFC. Will they get it? We shall see. But I mean, Jared Goff's kind of looked a little bit off the last couple of weeks, so that's why I'm kind of dropping him down just a little bit. New Orleans Saints defense is still quite stout, even without Marshawn Lattimore. He is on IR. Honey Badger looked good, so he's going to be all over the field, picking up where Lattimore now is let down. Jared Goff's still going to be able to throw the football around the field, so anywhere from 16 to 20 points, I think is definitely safe for a Jared Goff, but I got him on the mid-level because he's been, a little pick-happy these days, throwing interceptions, don't necessarily like it. They're going to lean on the ground game once again. Monty and Gibby, low-level risk for me. Fire both these guys up if you have them. Don't. It's going to be tough because, the Saints also have a good run defense, but this is the Detroit Lions' MO. They got to establish the run, set up the play-action pass. These guys will get their touches, will get their carries. Fire them up everywhere we got them. Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously no-brainer. 10 boom games this year, man, no-brainer. Fire him up. Jamison Williams on the low upside, high-level risk. Can't touch it. Reynolds, high-level risk. Can't touch it. Mid-level risk for a Sam Laporta this week, as I do believe Honey Badger is going to see a lot of Laporta, and I think that's going to be a very interesting test. I'm curious to see how that does shake down and go out, but I think you could still play Laporta this week. It's just going to be tempering the expectations once again. Hopefully he finds his way into the end zone to make that a much better day. Green Bay Packers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, coming off a huge win on Thanksgiving. Jordan Love feeling the love for love. 9 boom games for this man, 208 points. Jordan Love has played extremely well. And for fantasy football purposes, this is all we wanted to see from Love, but at least now we're understanding. They're starting to figure themselves out. They're feeling themselves a little bit offensively. Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, this nice trio of youthful wide receivers, they're starting to pick up steam just a little bit. Mid-level risk for Jordan Love because this KC defense is no joke, and they will give him some troubles. Low upside to an A.J. Dillon because Aaron Jones, again, is not playing in this contest, ruled out with that knee injury, where Jaden Reed is dealing with a chest on the questionable. So I don't like the A.J. Dillon play this week whatsoever. He'd be on my bench with the low upside. I'm very much comfortable saying that. Don't like it whatsoever. Where Romeo Doubs on the mid-level risk, and Jaden Reed has become one of the favorite targets for a Jordan Love, even on the sweeps without a Aaron Jones. He's getting a lot more touches on those jet sweeps, where Christian Watson right now, is one of these guys I'm really looking forward these last 5 games to take a huge leap. It's time, man. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries. It hasn't come to pass just yet to what we had anticipated it being. He found his way into the end zone this past week. We could definitely see more targets coming to this man. He is a very good wide receiver, very talented. He's just a Band-Aid and can't stay on the field. That's been his biggest problem. Fully healthy, I think that they integrate him in this offense, utilize that speed, utilize that yak yardage. I got boomer bust on the mid-level this week. I do believe that there is potential. Watson does cook this Kansas City Chiefs secondary and find his way into the end zone this week, a.k.a. MVS dropping footballs. I think Watson actually catches it and finds his way in. Jaden Reed, you can play this week. Romeo Doubs, mid-level only if you have to. I think I'm putting him on my bench this week, where a Tucker Kraft does have low upside. He was a safety blanket once again and finding his way into the end zone. So, pick your poison. Tight ends are very tough, especially on crazy bye weeks like this. Houston Texans taking on those Denver Broncos. C.J. Stroud. Okay, as good as the Broncos defense has been playing, I'm trusting Stroud, man. Low-level risk for me. He's done more than enough. Even in the 3-interception contest he had a couple weeks back, I'm good with it. He's still one of these guys that's pushing. He's going to continue to push, and this offense is moving forward in the right direction. However, I do want to see who's going to be shadow covering a Nico Collins. If it is going to be a Patrick Surtain or if he's going to play a Tank Dell, I got a feeling it's going to be all over Nico, and they're going to kind of do a double team on a Tank Dell. We'll see how that does shake down, but lower-level risk for C.J. Stroud, fire him up. Devin Singletary on the mid-level risk. Even though he's played extremely well, this Broncos defense looks so good and dominant, and I think they're going to give Devin Singletary a run for their money. You can likely play Devin this week, but again, temper those expectations just a little lower. Low upside for Dameon Pierce, potential TD upside if they find themselves inside the 2. Maybe they give it to him. You're not playing Pierce this week. Nico Collins on the mid-level. I think that you can play him at least because he's getting too much target share. Boom rates at 70%. You cannot hate what he's doing at this point, but it's going to be tough in this contest. You got to believe. And I think Nico, he's going to have you potentially the touchdown score, which will save the day. But if it is Surtain, I'm one of these guys that I still am on the fence versus greater coverage for Nico. Can he beat the coverage? Can he separate? I'm still one of these guys questioning it. So that's why I say it. We're an injury risk to a Tank Dell. He's dealing with a calf injury, likely suiting up in this contest from what we're hearing. So if he does suit up, I think Tank is the better option. They're going to play it safe, check downs, speed routes, and hopefully they're going to get Tank Dell involved a lot in this contest once again. 7 boom games for Nico, 6 for Tank Tank Dell. It's been going extremely well for these wide receivers, where we do got Dalton Schultz. He is out of this contest with a hammy. Noah Brown potentially comes back. I don't have him on the board right now. We're a Bobby Trees high-level risk. If Noah does suit up in this contest, that is very good news for Noah Brown. I would give Noah the mid-level risk as well, where I give Robert Woods high-level, because Noah did build some chemistry and would be the third wide receiver for lesser coverage, so Noah would probably have the better day out of the trio. Brevin Jordan, low upside, taking over. He's got athletic ability, can catch, and, at least run with the football after the catch. So Brevin Jordan is in extreme deeper leagues only for low upside on the mid-level, man. Indianapolis Colts taking on these Tennessee Titans. Big divisional contest as the Colts continue to try to keep their playoff spot at this point. 6-5, they're above everybody like the Buffalo Bills. This sucks for us Bills fans, but at least the Colts are in the playoffs with Mustache Minshew, but they did get some bad news. Jonathan Taylor is out indefinitely. It's anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. I'm hearing with this thumb injury, not good. So they're going to have to lean back on a Zach Moss. So all y'all that kept Zach Moss, kudos to you. He was 54% ownership rate on the waiver wire this past Monday or Tuesday. You had an opportunity if he was still there, but in all my leagues, all the managers, they kept him and Zach Moss, and they were not letting him go. So low-level risk for volume upside, and the only backup is just Trey Sermon. So it's going to be tough sledding. I mean, Zach Moss should at least have 25 touches in this contest. You got to believe. So there's going to be not only volume upside appeal, there is potential for him to break free. He's played very well. You could trust him this week. Michael Pittman on the low-level risk. They've been force-feeding him like a frenzy. Minshew feels extremely comfortable throwing a Michael Pittman against Tennessee defense that is still good enough to play. But I think there is gaping holes that can be found, and Michael Pittman's safety blanket, safety floor is so good, you cannot bench him at this point. Alec Pierce, high-level risk. Josh Downs, we're down for Downs. I got the good upside for him this week. I think it's been far too long with 4 contests since the injury, and I mean, he still hasn't had a boom game since, so I think it's time. They're going to get back to the potential TD upside, if they get in the red zone, maybe a short out in, and you see that Josh Downs scores a touchdown, so I'm okay with Josh this week in the flex spot if you have to, where Kylan Granson, high-level risk for me. I am not playing that, no way. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. Like I said, they're one of these confusing teams where they're starting to figure it out. It looks like they're trying to gain this identity, but it's like the elixir in this offense was Zay Jones. He comes into play, and every time he does play, Calvin Ridley goes off. He's an absolute coverage puller for guys like Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. So right now, Trevor Lawrence is definitely feeling himself, doing a lot better. 186 points, 9 boom games. Looked great the past 2 weeks. He should again continue versus a Bengals defense that is likely going to see a lot of time on the field with an offense that's going to continue to sputter. Trevor Lawrence, low-level risk for me. The problem we have right now is with this run game. Travis Etienne, my guy, dealing with a rib injury. Not sure if he's going to play. I believe he had a limited on Friday. Saturday will tell the tale if he does practice in full, if he's going to suit up in this contest. So that would give a Tank Bigsby some low-volume upside, but they're also got the Johnson kid, Dearness Johnson, so he will likely get more touches because he does have the speed ability over Tank. But, I mean, low upside would be for Tank, and then I would give a mid-level risk for a Johnson against Cincinnati Bengal defense. So there is potential that you could have filled your roster with a Johnson over Etienne, but you got to watch the injury report. I'll definitely keep you posted in the comments on the status of a Travis Etienne. Calvin Ridley on this side, so if they have to go away from the run game, you got to believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to throw the football quite a bit. Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, low-level risk. Fire them up everywhere you got them. I think they're going to have good days. We're low upside in the red for Zay Jones. He may find a touchdown, but this man's the scheme guy. He's going to pull all the coverage from these wide receivers. It's beautifully schemed, and he's good at it, so these other guys can eat and give you fantasy points. Evan Ingram on the mid-level risk. Well, I did call him a potential bust this week, and he has not scored a touchdown this season. He's only got 1 boom game in the past 7. I don't like it, but this is one of these contests where he's going to, give me the middle finger and say, F you, man, I'm scoring a touchdown, and it's very possible. You can play Evan Ingram this week because his floor has been safe for tight ends. Anywhere from 6.8 to like 9 points has been his floor. It's nothing over 12, so at least you're getting that 10 points basically every week from an Evan Ingram. You could do a lot worse than have PBR with tight ends, no kidding. So I think Evan Ingram is at least a safe floor start, but I mean, the upside has been crippled so far. Hopefully he finds way into the end zone and definitely proves me wrong. Kansas City Chiefs taking on those Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Like I'm saying, Patrick Mahomes, they got out the gates versus the Raiders a little bit slow and came back with a big punch. Low-level risk for Mahomes. He continues to move the football. And Isaiah Pacheco kind of altering how this offense does move, running the football a lot with Pacheco. I mean, the head bobbing, he looks like, I don't even know, man. The running style still drives me crazy for a Pacheco. It works for some guys. It drives me crazy, but a low-level risk for a Pacheco. He's doing more than enough. 137.6 boom games. Should have another decent showing, even though the Packers' front seven is pretty damn good, and they do give running backs a run for their money. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, high-level risk. Jerick McKinnon on the groin, questionable. Again, would be a high-level risk for me this week until we understand his health is back to the good. Sky Moore, low upside in the red. Yes, he's scoring touchdowns here and there. Not really even close to touching fantasy football at this point. Where Justin Watson and Rashee Rice, I'm giving them both mid-level risk because I think they found something at least decently enough. I think Rashee Rice definitely above a Watson at this point gives you the greater TD upside. But I mean, Watson's getting in the play. He's been trusted. As long as he continues to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes, it's going to continue down this path. So a mid-level risk for both these guys. On bye week hell, you can play both of them in my opinion. Travis Kelce on the low-level risk. 9 boom games, but they've been all on the mid-level. It's not been the regular Travis Kelce that we know and love. Only 136 points for this man at this point. He should be over 200 by this point. It's not been a great season. Taylor Swift's in his ear. Apparently, I don't know why he's not playing good, but you can fire up Travis Kelce because it is Travis Kelce. Los Angeles Chargers taking on those New England Patriots, and the Chargers season is in disarray. They basically got to run the table, and they got to start with these New England Patriots. Herbert did not look good this past week. This is the rebound game. Unless they truly want, all these players truly want Coach Staley fired, and they're just letting down at this point. I don't understand what happened last week, but okay, we'll give it a one-off. Herbert did not look good. Eckler hasn't looked good in 2 weeks. It's bounce back time versus a very bad New England Patriots team, even though they do try and compete on defense. Low-level risk for Herbert. Fire him up. Austin Eckler, I'm giving him the stud start, baby. It is time. It's been far too long since we've seen him absolutely take over a contest. I think it's going to happen in this contest. Even though the Patriots do find themselves good against the run game, I think he's going to get a lot of work in the PPR game simply because Keenan Allen is dealing with a quad. He is questionable to play. Likely will suit up in this contest because they have no other wide receivers. So this just spells massive decoy role for a Keenan, and everything is going to go to Austin Eckler. You're going to see a peppering of targets to Austin Eckler. Fire him up. Stud start appeal is definitely your injury risk for Keenan Allen. If he's playing, you got to suit him up. What else can you say? Hopefully he's not injured enough to at least find the end zone. But I mean, 6 catches for maybe, 65 yards? That's kind of where you're seeing Keenan Allen this week, especially if he's dealing with that injury, and it is substantial enough for him to be hampered with, man. Quentin Johnston, high-level risk, not touching it. He's got hands like bricks. Told you a long time ago. I'm going to continue on that until he figures that out and then, proves me wrong. But, I mean, my evaluation from day one on his scouting report was on point. High-level risk, not touching that. Jalen Guyton, low upside. We could see some more to him this week, but I'm not trusting it. I would rather trust a Gerald Everett in this case, where a low-risk play for him. I think with a Keenan Allen that's injured, Eckler and Everett, I think, would be a very good duo to at least move this ball against this New England Patriots defense, who's seen better days in the defensive back. And you see Pepper saying to Saquon Barkley, good game, too bad we're asked. But, I mean, this is what they are. These New England, man, that was funny to me. I was laughing hard. But, I mean, Gerald Everett, to me, definitely fire him up. And then Keenan Allen, if he does play, I think you can still fire him up. But, I mean, the ceiling is definitely going to be capped for me. Los Angeles Rams taking on those Cleveland Brownies. Matthew Stafford told y'all last week he was going to be a massive boomer. It did not fail us. This week may come down to earth. I mean, they're taking on these Cleveland Browns. Yes, it is at home, which is good news for the Rams. Myles Garrett says that he's got no limitations, so he's going to be coming after Matthew Stafford in a big way. I still think that if you're streaming quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford can be played in this contest because these Rams are super healthy, man. One of the healthiest teams in the league. No kidding about that. Kyren Williams comes back and puts on an absolute show. He should have no issues because they utilize him in both the run and the pass. So even if the Browns do stifle the run, he will get his work in the pass game. Fire up Kyren everywhere we got him. Red TD upside, high-level risk for Royce once again. Where you do got low-level risk for Cooper Kupp. I thought he'd be on the injury report with that ankle injury. Is not. Was cleared of that as well. So low-level risk for a Cooper Kupp. Tutu Atwell on the mid-level, too high-level risk. Don't like it. They may try a couple deep shots. It's just not been sustainable enough, even for your flex, the past several weeks. So I don't like Tutu this week. Where I do like Puka, mid-level risk. You just want to see a little bit more peppering. That's why I kind of downgraded him a little bit. Yes, Denzel Ward is injured, but the Browns' defense is still very strong, even though they did have a letdown last week. They are very good. So, I mean, as long as that they can be on the field for less than 40 minutes a game, they'll still compete in this contest. So Puka Nacua, I've got a mid-level risk. Still fire him up everywhere we got him. Tyler Higbee, man, what is your problem, dude? I say don't start you hit 2 TDs. I say start you're hitting nothing. So this week I'm going to go on the safe side and say low upside potential here. Maybe he finds a way into the end zone. I'm just not liking it. I just can't predict Higbee whatsoever right now. So I'll leave that up to you guys. If you guys like him this week, you guys fire him up. I'll leave that decision completely up to you. Miami Dolphins taking on the Washington Commanders, the Commies. And this one could be a bloodbath, I'm telling y'all, man. The Miami Dolphins do have the final 3 contests against very stout defenses this week, and next week they do play favorable matchups. Tua Tagovailoa, MVP talk, 7 boom games, 200 points. Low-level risk, fire him up. He's going to have a very big day. They're going to continue to run the football with Raheem Mostert and Devin off the A-chain. A-chan is back. Fire up Raheem Mostert, low-level risk. Don't even think about it. League leader in touchdowns running. Fire up Mostert. You got him. I mean, Devin A-chan, this is going to be interesting for me. How much carries and how much workload is he going to get? They decided to pull him. He retweaked that knee just a little bit. Said he was fine to come back, and they played it safe for one more week. I'm going to play him. If I have many shares of Devin A-chan, and I'm going to, his name messes me up still, but A-chan, I'm definitely going to fire him up. I got lots of shares of him. I'm firing him up everywhere I got him. There's too many holes on my rosters with these bye weeks. I think we're just going to shoot for the best. I'm hoping for at least a touchdown potential, big, rushing upside, which can happen versus the Commies defense, but I do think they're going to give maybe like a 70-30 split carries to a Mostert to an A-chain, so you definitely got to watch out for that because it could be a problem. But hopefully he finds way into the end zone on a big run. Tyreek Hill, stud start, you're firing that up, man. He could have 2,000 yards after this contest, man. He's going to eat up this secondary. There's no question about it. I think they're going to scheme it up so well that Washington won't even know what hit him. Jalen Waddle, low-level risk, coming off a very good contest, one of the best he had last week. Should once again continue as Tua goes back and forth to Tyreek and Waddle, and they run the football extremely well. Those 4 pieces have been carrying your teams all season long, and they should again in this great, glorious matchup. We got the New England Patriots taking on those Los Angeles Chargers. Billy Zappe, he's taking over. Zappe's taking over for a Mac. No money Jones, low upside for Zappe. We don't know. You just can't touch this. Even if you're in like 20-team leagues, I do not like Billy Zappe whatsoever. He could impress. We'll see what happens. I'm just not trusting it. 4.3 points in his time. Not good. No bueno. Ramondre Stevenson, I do like at this point right now. 7 boom games on the season. Low-level risk for me. They're finally getting him back into the PPR upside game, which is very good news. We do got Zeke Elliott dealing with a thigh injury. He's on the high-level risk for me. So it's all on Dre, man. 20 points basically almost these last 3 games. Each, it's been good, man. What I think it was like 19, 15, 19, whatever it was. So good, and he's bringing up the floor. Hopefully he continues to ride this train, and we all need it, man. Juju, Parker, Thornton, not touching any of them. Mid-level risk for a Parker. He's maybe got the best upside. I don't know. This wide receiver room is just not good. Where we got Douglas, Pop Douglas, he's out with a concussion, so this just adds to the problems that they're going to see. But, I mean, the Chargers' defense is bad, so you got to believe Hunter Henry on the low upside, but there is TD upside here for Hunter Henry. He could definitely do it on the revenge game. You got to see it, man. So I think Hunter Henry could actually find his way into the end zone. If you're looking for that tight end revenge, there is potential there with Devontae Parker on the mid-level because, I mean, Zappe's got to throw to somebody outside of Ramondre, so there is potential there in maybe 14 or 16 team leagues. Outside of that, not touching Parker, man. New Orleans Saints taking on these Detroit Lions. Big contest where the Saints struggle, continue in the red zone. 0 for 5 last week. They just can't figure it out in the red zone. Derek Carr, mid-level risk. Throwing interceptions at the worst possible times. And, I mean, they got to figure this thing out. We got Rashid Shaheed. He's out of this contest. Chris Olave potentially could sit this contest, but they're speeding up this concussion protocol because they know they don't have any other wide receivers. So they're saying, okay, Olave, you're going to pass likely. Okay, fine. He plays. How much is he going to be utilized? Could he get a game off basically on target shares as a decoy? Maybe. And this is what fears me. So I got Chris Olave on the mid-level risk. I got Derek Carr on the mid-level risk. I mean, I got to play Derek in one league because there's nothing left on the waivers for quarterbacks. So I'm hoping at least for the best. Give me 14 points. I'm happy with the performance from Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara, low-level risk. Should be a lot of PPR upside usage in this contest, especially if Olave does not play. If Olave plays, it still is going to be there depending on how healthy Chris Olave is. Lynn Bowden, A.T. Perry. They started using Lynn Bowden as the game went on last week. He was seeing a lot of PPR work, but I mean, again, hard to trust. A.T. Perry, can't trust it. There is mid-level PPR upside for Bowden. He's got some ability, so if he's given the opportunity, he's going to at least try to do the damage. A.T. Perry, nothing but a TD upside, high-level risk for me, where Taysom Hill If he didn't fumble, he gave us a boom on the low level last week, so let's see him this week. They're going to continue to feed it. So for me, it's Kamara, it's Taysom Hill, then it's probably Chris Olave this week, unless Olave is completely healthy. We won't know until we see on Sunday, but that's kind of how I got this evaluation at this point. Fire up Hill. I would still start Chris Olave if you have him, and then Alvin Kamara, obviously, without question. New York Jets taking on those Atlanta Falcons. Tim Boyle, high-level risk, not touching it. Falcons' defense is still very good, and the secondary is going to struggle. There's not going to be a lot to go around. And I mean, Breece Hall, he's dealing with a hamstring injury, questionable. No sign that he's going to sit. Dalvin Cook's shoulder, he's questionable. No signs that he's going to sit. So I'm going to continue to give Breece Hall the low upside. Don't understand what the coaching staff is doing. Nathaniel Hackett, get out of your own way and just feed Breece Hall the football 30 times and see what happens. I think that's maybe what's going to happen this week. They got to win this contest to keep their playoff hopes alive. Aaron Rodgers potentially would come back if that is the case. Low upside for a Garrett Wilson. There is TD upside. This man just gets garbage time appeal right now, so I think you could play him. But again, you're going to be biting your fingernails off until the fourth quarter. So if you have to play him, I get it. If you don't, maybe you put him on the bench again, but then it hurts seeing those 17 points on your bench like he did last week. So it's one of these worst situations to call as a Garrett Wilson owner. If you got him, I don't hate the fire up in the flex. If you have multi-flex spots and you got to fill him, fire up Garrett in that case. Alan Lazard, is he even playing this week, or is he going to be on the bench once again? High-level risk. Gibson, high-level risk, not touching it. Ty Conklin's been safe, man. At least he's giving you 6 to 9 points each week at this point. Like I told y'all, it's about, 4 catches, 55 yards, and then if he gets in the end zone, big lift to your team, so at least he's giving you a safe floor in half PPR points. Philadelphia Eagles taking on those San Francisco 49ers. Huge contest, one of the games of the week, man. Eagles, man, they just came back against my Bills. I'm still hurting. It sucks, man. I'm hurting. It's hard to be a Bills fan right now, but these Eagles taking on these 49ers, going to be another great show, man. This is going to be ugly when it comes to these rivalries because Debo's been talking, Bradbury's been talking. It's going to be an ugly show, no kidding. Jalen Hurts, low-level risk once again. 10 boom games, 268 points. He's just dealing the ball. He's running the football. Hurts is a no-brainer. DeAndre Swift on the mid-level risk. I called him a bust once again this week because the 49ers front seven is so good. And with the addition of Chase, it is so good against the pressure against the quarterback. So you got to believe they're going to play that contained rush game as well. Keep Swift inside. Keep Jalen Hurts inside. So they're going to have to figure out some dumping appeal and upside in that respect. So I do believe A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are on the low-level risk this week because the 49ers secondary can be beat as well. Just like the Eagles secondary can be beat. I think that, A.J. Brown will likely have the better day of the two this week, but Devontae Smith can absolutely be trusted, whereas Zacchaeus getting his freaking TD with that. Okay, sorry. I'm going to digress. I'm not going to talk about my Bills game anymore, but I got high-level risk for Zacchaeus and Stoll. You're not touching that where Dallas Goedert still has been out of this contest with that fractured forearm. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on those Arizona Cardinals. Okay, new offensive coordinator, and we got some life in Pittsburgh and Steel City 7-4. They're almost stamping their ticket to the playoffs. Great contest versus Arizona Cardinals, but what did I tell y'all with Arizona's evaluation? I just feel something in the air with these Cardinals this week. If I'm wrong, I'm completely wrong, and I'm okay with it because I'm going on a limb here with these gut feelings. You got to trust your gut sometimes, right? Kenny Pickett, though, he did look a lot better because who came back? I told y'all last week as well. Who came back? Pat Freiermuth. He came back, and he did very well. It's a safety blanket for Kenny Pickett, opens up everything else on the outside and aids in the run game because both Harris and Warren are going to be good plays this week. Mid-level risk streaming upside for a Kenny Pickett this week. There is potential 10 to 15 points, 10 to 20 points. Absolutely here as the Cardinals defense is not very good anyway. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. I'm firing both these gentlemen up. You can trust it at this point. Jalen Warren took a little bit of a backseat to Najee the week before. But I think the split carries are a thing of beauty. Keeps them both fresh. Keep them kind of different skill sets. It's good. Najee scoring touchdowns where Jalen Warren continues with the pass PPR upside. Low level risk for him. Good upside in the green for Harris. Fire up both these gentlemen. George Pickens. I want to do better than just medium risk. I really do, but I just can't at this point. If you got him, maybe you play him. It's so difficult. Kenny just can't find him, and it's just weird. So for me, in the flex, maybe likely better place on the bench if you have better options. Where Deontay, I do like his game this week a little bit better. He's been putting no effort in, so maybe that's the killer as well. That could cripple you, but PPR upside against these Cardinals definitely should be here. Deontay should eat big time in this contest. If he doesn't, then I will definitely say I am wrong, but I think Deontay's got a good matchup this week, definitely. Where Pat Freiermuth, found his way to great glory, and I think it's going to continue low risk for me. It's going to be, running the football, safety blanket passes to the Muth, and then hopefully one of these wide receivers does pick up steam. But this offense will be a lot better, as we saw last week in a good matchup versus Arizona Cardinals. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, Brock Purdy, while they run the football with a Christian McCaffrey, it does bring back, Purdy's stats where he's got to throw touchdowns, where they're running the football in a lot. This is a contest where they're going to have all hands on deck. Brock Purdy's going to have a hell of a contest. And like I said, man, Bradbury and Slay, they've seen better days. I think Purdy can absolutely carve up this defense. Low-level risk for Purdy. Fire him up everywhere he got him. Low-level risk for CMC every single week. 11 boom games, man. This guy just doesn't miss, man, every single week. I think he's the only player now. Diggs was there for a while, head-to-head with him, but I think he's the only player now to boom in every single contest this season. Eli Mitchell, high-level risk. Debo, he's been talking so much ish this entire week. And even going back to this offseason, it's put up or shut up time. So I'm going to go based on the scenario that he's going to do the damage because his mouth has just been flapping, y'all. And I think a Debo big-time contest, he wants this one. He wants to stick it to these guys. And I think Debo's going to have a very big contest. Fire up Debo everywhere you got him. Brandon Ayuk may see a little bit of his targets curtailed a little bit, may find his way into the end zone. I still like the play for Ayuk, but I'm ranking him on a mid-level. Potential target share going to Debo and George Kittle, where I got good low-level risk, TD upside for George Kittle. I think he finds his way back into the end zone in a very big way. The 49ers want to be extremely physical versus these Philadelphia Eagles, who do have a great front line, and it's going to be tested, but they're going to get very creative. Know that for Kyle Shanahan. Kittle finds his way into the end zone. I do like it a lot. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Carolina Panthers. Okay, Bake Show. Last-ditch effort to save your season. Carolina's still mathematically alive somehow, but, it's over. Baker Mayfield, mid-level risk. I think it's okay to play him. Don't expect a whole heck of a lot because the Panthers' defense still is very good defending the pass, where they should continue this upside with a Rachaad White. Low-level risk, PPR upside for him. Very safe floors have been coming for White. Chase Edmonds, high-level risk. Mike Evans, low-level risk, but temper it down to in between low level and mid level. But Mike Evans is the number one guy. Now that obviously Chris Godwin did not realize he was on the injury report with a neck injury, has been listed as game time decision, potential doubtful. So if Chris Godwin does sit, that's why I got Evans ranked as a low level risk. It is good in that respect. So hopefully, hopefully we get news earlier rather than later on Chris Godwin. But that would uplift Trey Palmer to a mid-level risk because somebody's got to start taking the targets. And a Cade Otton would be able to be trusted on the mid-level versus the Carolina Panthers. I do like the stream play of Cade Otton this week. If you're looking for tight ends, he is one I'm trusting. But Mike Evans without a Chris Godwin, easy low-risk play for me where Trey Palmer would get some sleeper appeal with a boomer bust attention to detail in that respect as well. So we'll see how that does go, but Baker's got to play a lot better than he's played these past several weeks. Tennessee Titans taking on these Indianapolis Colts. Will Levis, since his first game, he's come all the way back down to earth, and it has not looked great. So how do I see this offense? I see a lot of high-level risk. It's not good, man. The first game, we get excited. We're like, yes, this is working, and then all of a sudden it's like, damn, it's not working. Low upside for Will Levis. At least he still has an arm to at least, throw the football around. They got Derrick Henry back on the good books last week. Low-level risk for me for Derrick Henry. Fire him up against these Colts. He usually has very good days versus these Colts. I foresee another one coming for him as well. High-level risk for Tajay. You can't trust it whatsoever, but I do think this is one of these games where D-Hop does go off. They're going to have to utilize him a lot in this contest. Will Levis force feed D-Hop on the regular? Absolutely. Potential TD upside does exist for a DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody else, Phillips, Westbrook, Akeen, and Okonkwo, I do not like and will not play. Last one I got, Washington Commanders, the Commies, taking on these Miami Dolphins. Sam Howell, one of the league leaders in the NFL for passing yards, and he will continue to sling the football. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys, he threw 300 yards plus, even in a very terrible game, 230 points, man. Sam Howell's been a great quarterback in fantasy football, outside of, turnovers, but he's been very good. 10 boom games. Low-level risk for me as well. Even though they got Ramsey, they got Howard back. This defense is playing a lot better. Sam's been able to move the football everywhere on this field with Eric Bieniemy, showing him the ropes and understanding. Low-level risk, fire up Sam Howell everywhere you got him. Even in garbage time, if they're getting blown out, he's going to give you good point productivity. Brian Robinson, B-Rob on the mid-level. I do like Miami's front line, and they will make it difficult for them to run the football, but B-Rob is showing at least he does have the aptitude to at least catch passes from the backfield as well, lifting up his ceiling, but mid-level risk for me. Antonio Gibson on the high-level PPR upside. Do not like it whatsoever. Terry, Dotson, Samuel. So mid-level risk for both Terry and Dotson. We'll think that Terry's going to get a lot of Ramsey, where Dotson could see a lot of Howard mixed with a Curtis Samuel. So I think Howard's going to kind of float between the two. I do got a good, potential boom upside for a Dotson this week if you're really wanting that boom upside. But there is a very low floor for Jahan Dotson. But I do like a potential touchdown for Jahan this week, where Curtis Samuel should continue to give you that good floor of PPR upside in the green on the low level. I like his play as well this week. Logan Thomas, low upside to high level risk. It has not been good these past several weeks, and I don't foresee it changing this week as well. But there you have it. That is week number 13. Start, sit, and hope you guys, I hope you guys are winning your leagues. I truly do it. Nothing makes me happier. If my advice helps you guys in any way, it's my pleasure, and I really, truly hope that we all get to hoist some trophies this season. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, but you guys set your rosters. All the credit is given to you guys, no question, but thank you for all the support as always. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. And throw your questions in the comments. I'll definitely get back to y'all, but we'll see you next time. I am out.